I'm Jocelyn Rios from Funimation, and this is One Piece at a Time. I'm your host and a social media producer. And in celebration of the One Piece anime's 20th anniversary, I'm watching the show for the first time, and every week, a seasoned fan rewatching the series will join me in exploring each episode following the Merry Route binge guide. So come on board on this adventure starting right now. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back, Jonna.
Hi.
This is our last podcast episode of the season.
I can't believe it.
I know, me too. It's been great, though. It's been a great journey.
It has.
So, on this podcast episode, episode 41, we are going through anime episodes 319 to 325. And on the last episode, the Straw Hats made their big escape from Eni's lobby. They said goodbye to the Mary.
Oh, the Mary.
Tears. They met Luffy's grandpa, and we found out a little bit about Luffy's family history, which is all very much set up for
crazy,
the future.
Right?
Yeah. We had some adventures in Water 7 while a new ship is on the making, and Luffy and Chopper helped find and save a baby Yagura. Zoro became a big brother unwillingly. And we learned a bit about the powers of the world with the 4 emperors and the warlords, the marines and all that, and about Shanks' haki.
Haki, yeah.
Yes.
Big stuff.
I know.
Really big stuff.
On this episode, everyone gets a bounty.
Yeah.
Yes, they all have wanted posters now. Usopp is planning his return, and so does the crew. The Straw Hats get a new ship, and it's so awesome.
Yes.
And Franky finally joins the crew in the most Franky way.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go through these episodes with you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Episode 319, Sanji's Shock, Mysterious Old Man and His Super Yummy Cooking. This is a Sanji cooking episode, which I always love.
Always wonderful.
Yeah.
A little bit of, just like I always think of like cooking shows that you see everywhere, and like just imagining him on one of those. He'd be so great.
Yes.
I love it. His cooking is so impressive.
Yes.
It starts off with him, he sees Nami and Robin off in the distance, and they've got the paparazzi around them, and everyone's just like so amazed by their beauty and this and that, and the ladies are just flaunting it.
Yeah.
and of course Sanji is like, as soon as everyone pictures them in their bikinis and stuff for like a swimsuit calendar, Sanji gets so mad at everyone else, calls them perverts, and chases them off in the most Sanji way.
Yes, because obviously no one else can do that except him, I guess.
Of course. Of course. Only he gets to imagine them in their bikinis.
Mm-hmm. So he's hanging around with Chimney, right? Chimney.
Yes.
Hanging around with him. So he helps them, and now they're by themselves. So he's like, ooh, this is my chance to get some alone time with the girls. So he's sort of planning going out to dinner or something.
Trying to take them on a little date.
Yeah, but Chimney's hungry, so she wants to go.
Right, of course. She's just killing his game, and she just, like any little kid, I'm hungry now. You just ate, but I'm hungry. and so of course Nami and Robin, they know what's up. Yeah, they play coy. They know what's up, and they just they kind of say, oh well, Chimney, Sanji loves ladies, and he's really respectful, and he should treat you to some food and things like that, and just kind of turns him around on himself.
Exactly.
And now he's stuck with the kids still.
Yes, it's like, you would never leave a lady in need, Sanji. Of
Right.
course not, right? So now he's stuck with Chimney, and the girls go shopping by themselves. Which, honestly, I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't get to see, how we saw everybody's little adventure in Water 7?
Yeah.
I wanted to see the girls shopping, too.
Yeah,
I wanted to see what they were up
I wanted to see them
to.
shop. I wanted to see them, like, trying to find some furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, that'd be so much fun. No. No, of course not.
So Sanji and Chimney leave, and Chimney's sort of talking up her grandpa's food to Sanji, right? She's like, my grandfather cooks so well, and I don't know what. And then they see the boat about Grandpa Cook.
I don't think it was her grandpa.
Really? I always thought it was her grandpa.
No,
That's so funny. Because she calls him Grandpa Cook, and I'm like, well, then definitely your grandpa. I think she just meant it's old. He's old.
Just old man Cook, just Gramps. I don't think it's
gotcha.
her grandpa.
in my mind,
your mind, you just established
I was
it that
like,
way.
oh wow, then how does this connect?
Oh, no.
I was already building
no.
up Chimney's family tree.
No, I don't know. But you know what? I'm open to people's ships. I'm open to ships. I'm open to whatever headcanon you got.
Who knows Kokoro's adventures? I mean, you never know.
Her parents, I don't know. It's not impossible, is it? I don't know. Anyway. Anyway, so it's just an old man, like, because I think Sanji was asking her, like, what's the best place to eat around here in Water 7? And, you know, so Chimney is like, oh, well, there's this old guy who, like, he makes the best food ever. So they take him to his boat. And on the way, like, they hear these guys saying, oh, that food was terrible. It tasted weird.
So weird.
And so you're, like, already apprehensive, like, what is this? And then you go and you see that the guy's just sitting there drunk.
Yeah, sleeping.
Just sleeping. So what does Sanji do? Like any good chef, when you walk into a restaurant and the other chef is sleeping, you just start cooking.
Yeah.
You take their knives and their ingredients and food, and you just start cooking for your friends.
Yeah, no problem.
And then when you are the chef, the owner of it, and you wake up and you see someone cooking, you're just like, oh, hey, what's up?
Hi.
So that's how that went down.
So yeah, he woke up and they start sort of talking, and it turns out he knows Seth.
Yeah, owner Seth, which was super cool. And I mean, he also knows about the all blue, it seems. I mean, he led Sanji on to believe that he's actually seen the all blue. No, he has not. But he knows of the legend and seems to believe in it.
Mm-hmm. So Chimney eats Sanji's food. It was delicious, obviously. And Sanji pays with a big bottle of sake. He's about to leave, but Chimney says she's still hungry. And it's
bottomless pit.
Bottomless pit for sure.
But I'm same. So I know.
There was so many good cooks available. I guess I would try to be hungry all the time too.
And I'm glad she said that, because, you know, now she gets to try, or at least Sanji gets to try, some amazing stir-fry looking stuff. It looks like stir-fry. And you see him, you know, add this little bit of, like, you know, thing with a spoon. Like, what is that ingredient? Kind of looked like salt. And then Sanji tries it. And it's this moment when he's just, like, in his own head, just like, what is this? It's so good.
Yeah. Camera pans out and he's just like, mind blown.
Yes, mind blown. I'm glad it didn't quite get, you know, orgasmic with the clothes blowing off as some shows will take it with food to explain. But I think we get the picture.
Yes. So Sanji's trying to pinpoint, like, what makes it so good.
Right.
He's like,
what is
it?
And, of course, that's when this old Gramps guy is like, what, you can't tell what it is?
Right.
Like, you're so basic. Like, go go figure it out.
He basically says that. He's like, if you don't know what makes it so good, then maybe the all blue is not within your reach. And Sanji's like, oh my God.
He's like offended. So he's like now on a mission, and doesn't he just like leave Chimney there?
Yes.
And then he just goes off through the town. He's going to a grocery store and like, hey, do you have any spices? And the guy's like, we're port town, like we don't really have much. So what does Sanji do? He just goes and dips his finger in all the like cans and like tries all the spices. And I'm like, and this guy's just standing, like, it's like the shop owner doesn't stop him. I'm like out of my mind. Like, dude, you're germs, Sanji.
I know. You can't just do that. Are you gonna buy all those?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, no. So he keeps like wandering around town. I think that's when he runs into the guys of the Galley Law, who are, everyone's like, you know, really appreciative of the big old party that the Straw Hats threw. So everyone like knows the Straw Hats, and they're like, oh yeah, thanks for the party and everything. And they're welcoming to them. So they offer some food to Sanji, and it's the little rice balls. Yeah.
Rice balls always look so cute.
They're so cute. And they're always the perfect little triangle shapes. And but yeah, so they give him this, and he tries it, and he tastes that flavor again.
Yes, we see again.
Just like a wave, and his mind is just blown.
And he figures it out. I don't know why he figured it out with the rice ball and not the stir fry, but he figured it out.
I think because he realized it's not just an ingredient that the guy had. Right. This is like something that everyone here has. So it's like, what could it be? So he goes back to Gramps guy.
Yes.
What is this guy's name? We shouldn't keep calling him Grandpa.
I don't know, because
name?
what I remember is just them calling him Grandpa Cook.
Sorry, dude. He probably has a name, and we forgot
must
to
have a name.
figure it out. But anyway, he's Gramps. So he goes back to Gramps and is telling him, like, I figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And
he does this whole Sanji explanation, where he gets serious and, smoking his cigarette.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, because you can't just say it. You got to deliver it.
Exactly.
And so he reveals that he knows it's the salt. He's assuming it's from the Aqua Laguna, which is a storm that, like they say, it carries water from all over the world, and so it brings all the minerals from all the oceans in the world. And that's why the salt from the sea at Water 7 is like more flavored than any other salt.
Yeah. And so basically Sanji then begs Gramps to tell him how he gets it, because he needs to be able to make the best food for his crew.
Oh, it's so sweet.
It is very sweet.
Of course. So then this guy, Gramps, takes him out to the rooftops.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we learn that apparently no one in Water 7 cares about germs, because this guy just like takes his salt off rooftops.
Yep.
Do birds poop on these rooftops? Maybe.
Possibly. Most likely.
Does like crap get on the rooftop? Likely. But so does the salt, and the salt is so delicious that we don't care. Let's just scrape salt off the rooftops and put it in our food.
Yep.
That's what the people of Water 7 do, apparently. So that's how Sanji gets the salt. So the little key about that, though, is because all the water in the world gets swept in from the Aqua Laguna, that includes the water of the All Blue. Mm-hmm. So if you believe in the All Blue, and it's out there somewhere, some of its water must be coming in. So, like, you're getting All Blue minerals in that salt.
Yes.
So special, wow, magical salt.
Magical salt that Sanji now has a bunch of. I guess he spent his afternoon scraping it off the roof. Got a couple bags.
Yep.
And he's ready to go.
Yeah.
And then they wonder, then if the food is so good, then why were the sailors complaining in the beginning?
Yeah.
And it turns out it's because they're so used to eating
bad
crappy food.
Yeah. So that they just can't comprehend. Their palates cannot comprehend good food. A little
it was
cheap,
just a
but
curveball.
Yeah, a little curveball. Yeah, thanks, guys. But it's fair. So meanwhile, Sanji's, he's heading back because Chimney heads over to where Kokoro is.
Yeah, and she thanks Sanji because she had a blast, which I think is very cute.
That was
She's
very
like,
sweet.
Thank you, pirate cook.
Yeah, it was cute. But then as Sanji is walking through the town, he catches Usopp. He sees Usopp over in the distance practicing how he's going to come back to the Straw Hat Pirates. This was so cringy.
It was. Poor Usopp.
Poor Usopp. It's so cringy and so hard to watch.
At least Sanji didn't call him out. He just stood there listening. I was like, oh my God, Usopp, you're going to look back and you're going to see Sanji.
I know. I was like, oh God, if he sees him. But he wouldn't, because this is a filler episode, so they weren't going to do anything that stirs the plot. But yeah, you do get a glimpse of that. And so Sanji, very respectfully just doesn't say anything. He hears it, though. And so now he knows, that Usopp intends to come back.
Yeah. And the way he plans to come back, because he's just making it like in the worst way possible.
Exactly, the worst way possible. He keeps saying things like, you guys are going to want me back. Like, you guys are, just going to be there. Oh, Usopp, we missed you. Or something like that. And he's going to say, oh, well, I guess I have to.
Wait, you want to make me vice captain? Well,
oh, my gosh. Yes. Usopp.
Sanji's just there smoking his cigarette, just listening. And then he's like, okay, that's 23 scenarios. And I'm like, oh my God, you've got 23 of these? Jesus.
And counting.
Yeah, and counting. So, yeah, then we cut to Sanji making dinner for the crew. And it's super delicious. Yeah, everybody's like, oh my God, they want seconds. Chopper's so happy. Mm-hmm. Everybody's super happy. Even Zoro, which is something we don't see a lot. Giving Sanji props? What?
This is new. Yeah, and then it heads back over to where we see Chimney and Kokoro as the galley law, or just a group of people are working on the ship.
Mm-hmm. In the sunset. Pretty cool scene to end the episode.
Yes.
That's where it ends.
Episode 320. Everyone finally has a bounty. A pirate group worth over 600 million.
Wow. That's a lot of berries.
That's a lot of berries. That is a lot.
So the episode starts off with Franky, Iceberg, and the Galila shipwrights are working on the new ship that they're building for the Straw Hats. And Franky and Iceberg, they're on a super other level than the rest of them.
Right. They just keep going, and everyone else is just like, trying to keep up. And of course, those two they're Tom's apprentice, so they're just really good at building ships.
Yes.
And that's when I think Franky and Iceberg, they really have a moment, a chance to, bond again.
Yeah.
Just finally, everything's calmed down, and now the two of them can be in the same place at the same time and not, have secrets between, and
nobody after them.
No one's
at
after
least
them.
for the moment.
So we do get a glimpse of them kind of talking with each other.
Yes. And Franky's sort of trying to reason with Iceberg. He's telling him, this is not just an ordinary ship. You're building a ship for a pirate crew, and you're the mayor of this town.
Right.
And so, this could be problematic for you, maybe.
Right. He's trying to convince Iceberg, hey, don't be a part of this because people are going to associate you with pirates, and this is a pirate ship. And of course, Iceberg comes back with something that is very thematic to this whole arc, which is a ship is a ship. It's not good or bad. I'm going to help with this.
Yes.
Which it's Franky, don't you see? This is the lesson we're trying to learn here.
Right. That's something that Tom always said to them, especially back when Iceberg was super mad at Franky for making all those battle Frankies in the past. So we have that little moment where Iceberg sort of has, a realization that maybe at that moment he wasn't right.
Right, yeah. Iceberg is the one who's, really astute to this sort of theme, because when he was younger, he was kind of chastising Franky for making these battleships, and he's since learned. And this also kind of raises my question, or one thought I have about this, which talks about, the whole theme of this is, the Pluton, the blueprints to this ship that everyone's calling a weapon this whole time. Mm-hmm. But with this question in mind of, is a ship just a ship or is it a weapon?
Right.
It makes you wonder, that the Pluton, is it actually something bad? Was it possibly something good,
Yeah. It's like Tom says, a ship is a ship. And I think this applies to things that are not ships also.
That too.
A ship is a ship, but, the flag that it races is what makes it either a pirate ship or a marine ship or whatever it's going to be.
It's more than the ship. It's who is on it.
Exactly.
Who's
on
sailing
it and
this
how
ship.
they're planning to
and
use
what
it.
What do they plan to use it with? Yep. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So Iceberg's basically just talking all this through with Franky, and he's like, I'm not making a pirate ship, I'm helping a friend achieve his dream.
Yes, so beautiful.
I know. So he's trying to help Franky build his dream ship, and that's the real reason he's doing it, which is great because they have this whole history together back since Tom. It's good that they get to work on this. Yeah. What is supposed to be Franky's last masterpiece.
Right, his dream ship.
So we then see a little bit of a flashback to the day that Franky stopped or tried to stop the train.
Right.
Because I was wondering, how did he manage to survive? Did he swim somewhere?
How did it happen? Right? What happened? So this is where we get to see it, because he's laying there floating in the water,
all messed up
because he got hit by a train. Then suddenly this sort of abandoned ship comes up. It's old and a ghost ship almost comes up, and he somehow manages to get on board, and I think he just starts taking pieces from the ship to build his body. They don't really show that, but I think you can glean that.
Yeah, exactly. But at least we know he didn't just, peer somewhere. And
right. It gives you a little story. It makes some sense, finally. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I tried to figure out, I don't know if that ship is anything important. I'm really not sure.
I just tied it to the explanation Kokoro later gives about the triangle where crews disappear. And I was like, where that ship must have come from.
I think that might be right.
But I don't know if it's more important than that.
Yeah. So somehow he was on here, and it was with those ship's parts. He made his centaur body and everything else. this is kind of interesting because we're basically seeing how Franky's body is a parallel to the ship itself, and to how, you know, a ship is a ship, his body's a body. Like he changed it, but it's still the same person. Like Iceberg says, like, you're still the same friend you always were, even though you look different.
Right. That's a good observation. I hadn't thought of it that way. That's great. That is true. Yeah. You like, basically rebuilt your whole self.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you're a different person, or
right.
you're not my friend anymore.
Yeah. So I thought that was sweet.
Mm-hmm. They're just going through all this while they're trying to build this ship, and Franky's just thinking about it and thinking about the conversation he had with Iceberg before, and how he was glad to see that Franky was alive back when he came back. But he still thinks that Iceberg's just being hard-headed.
Yeah, still he hasn't quite gotten it yet. We do hear, like, his dream. He wants to build a ship that sails to the end of the world. And we know every Straw Hat has a dream.
Yes.
That kind of is their motivation to join the crew. So this is the thing, you know, we hear he wants to build a ship that sails to the end of the world, which is fascinating because his dream basically sets him up to stop right there. He's built the ship. Okay, dream achieved. Yeah. Go on. He believes so strongly the Straw Hats will take it to the end of the world, so he feels his goal should be complete now. So now you can see where it's like hard to motivate him past that, if that really is all that there is to his dream.
Exactly. So we go back to Usopp while we leave Franky to his thoughts. And he's on his way to Galila, and he's practicing his scenario. I think he's up to like 60-something scenarios now.
Just a ton of scenarios.
And he's still practicing on the way. And he's like, okay, this is my chance. I'm going to do it.
Climbs up to their window and is just like waiting outside of it. And he's like, oh, what was it? Is that when he looks in? Yeah, he looks in first and he sees everyone just like
super serious.
Very serious, like especially it focuses on Zoro and Luffy in their faces, and they're all just like very, just like it's quiet. Everyone's kind of at a standstill.
Yeah, and everyone's sort of staring at Zoro. It looks like it's like a Zoro versus them situation.
Yes. And so Usopp thinks, oh, everyone's sad. Perfect. They must be sad that I'm not here. Let me just grace them with my presence. So he's like, okay, gonna do plan number whatever it is, where he sneezes. And he's thinking, oh, yeah, they're gonna hear me sneeze and they're gonna see me outside the window and think, oh, poor Usopp out in the cold. Why don't you come in? And so, you know, they're going to invite him in and they're going to beg that he be with them, is how he's envisioning this. And Nami comes up to the window and just shuts the curtain.
And that's that.
And that's that. And Usopp's plan number whatever is foiled.
It is completely foiled. And he gives up. He's like, okay.
Okay, they must be asleep. Yeah. Let me just, you know, so easily gives up.
I know.
Jocelyn, I was going to ask, what would be your return strategy?
I mean, it's a tough one because, I mean, under the same circumstance, I literally insulted my captain and said I was never supposed to be part of this crew anyways, challenged them to a duel, lost, and then just left forever. So it is a very hard thing to approach, especially if you're proud like Usopp.
Yeah.
I would like to have a one-on-one is what I think, because group settings are more difficult.
So how would you go about getting that one-on-one? Would you stalk Luffy until like he was by himself and just like
hey, it is great to meet you here. I've been meaning to say this for a long time.
Funny, I ran into you around the corner.
Around this corner that I totally knew you were coming about. And then, just sort of try to flesh it out one-on-one. The hardest thing, I feel, is that first approach. Is like, especially when you know you're on the wrong, like that, you know, swallowing your pride and making that first contact is the hardest part of it.
It is very hard. Yeah. It is very hard. I can't blame Usopp. I mean, it's hard to watch, and you know, it's kind of sad because you wish he could be better than that. But at the same time, you got to remember it is very human to just
do that.
Avoid things and just come up with any kind of solution you can, even if it's not the best, you know, and run through scenarios in your head. So I feel for you, Usopp.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. But I'm definitely the kind that likes to get it over with.
Just get it over. Right. Get it over with.
Get the hard part over with and just spit it out.
Right.
And take it from there.
Yeah. And then figure it out.
Yeah.
So no plans for you.
No 63 scenarios. Just 0 scenarios and figure it out. What about you? What would you do?
Cry. No, I think it would be the same thing. I mean, I would kind of have my talking points listed in my head, things I want to say to them, and then go in prepared to cover none of that. and just read the people as I talk to them and try to understand where they're coming from, and just like you said, just say it. Just say something. It's gonna be awkward no matter how you approach it.
Yes, definitely.
But the thing is, if you want to join the crew, if you want to do it, it's up to you.
Yeah, you have to do it.
Yeah,
no choice.
Grin and bear it.
Usopp.
Sorry, Usopp.
So we go back to Scrap Island, and the workers take a little break when the Franky fam brings them some food. And Chimney's still hungry. She's like, yeah, food. And I'm like, girl, you just ate it twice.
She's a growing girl, okay?
Yeah, definitely a growing girl. Jeez.
But while they do that, like, first of all, everyone's trying to convince Franky and Icy, like, take a break, like, eat. Like, y'all haven't stopped working. And, of course, it's they're no good convincing them, pretty much. They try, and it's just not happening. And at this point, this is when Iceberg stops and asks Franky, or tells him, like, you should go with the Straw Hats.
Right.
You should join the crew and go with them. I mean, it's kind of like the elephant in the room. We all knew this was supposed to be happening. Like, we all knew. We were all expecting it. It seems like, the Franky family, too, kind of, that's what they were expecting him to do. And Franky is just like, no, like, my family, my bros are here. And he says this line. He says, it's going to take more than a ship to get me to leave. Okay, he just said to, Iceberg, like, just kind of denied what Iceberg said was that a ship is a ship. The ship is not what matters. And here he is, Franky is now saying the same thing. The ship is not going to get him off the island. Okay, so what is, Franky? The people.
Right.
People, your connections to people, who you love, your dreams. That is what's going to get him off the island. It's like he answers it himself. He realizes it himself, and yet he doesn't. He's not aware of it.
Yeah.
Because he thinks he's going to stay for his own bros. It blows my mind, because it's such good writing to write such complicated characters that both are aware and at the same time unaware of their mistakes.
Yeah, and their own motivation, I feel.
Exactly.
Like, because in a void, without what's coming up next, you'd think, like, well, what he's saying makes all the sense. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It makes all the sense. His dream is the ship. He's going to pass it on, and he's going to be able to have his cake and eat it too, make his dream ship come true, and stay with his bros on the island, be happy.
Right, exactly. Oda sets us up to see this as, like, this makes perfect sense. We can totally see Franky's side of it. Like, I would not want to leave my hometown so easily.
For real.
It's going to take a lot to convince me. So it's good writing.
It is definitely great writing. And then it gets late. Everybody keeps working until they basically exhaust themselves. Except Franky and Iceberg, of course.
Yeah, they're just on fire.
They're just supernatural powers or something.
They don't need to sleep, apparently.
Yeah. Or eat.
Franky's a cyborg. It makes sense. Iceberg is not.
He is not. And he went through some serious trauma recently.
Yeah, they've been through some, like, they've been through some stuff. Yeah, But no, keep going, getting it done, building this ship really fast. Because I'm pretty sure sail ships, like, take months, maybe, I would assume.
For real.
But not these guys.
Nope.
Few days, we're good.
So we go back to Galila, and we see Nami say that finally the log pose has reset. And Kokoro points out that, like, hey, do you see where it's pointing? And she's like, yeah, it seems like it's pointing down, which is weird.
Yeah, little weird.
It's pointing to the bottom of the ocean, okay? And Kokoro tells them, like, yeah, it's pointing to Fishman Island.
What? Fishman Island. Like, I'm so excited. Fishman Island.
She's super excited, guys. You have to see her. I wish you could see her. So yeah, Sanji's also very excited, just like Jana.
Not for the same reason, okay? But I mean, mermaids are cool, but like,
he's imagining all
Sanji's...
these mermaids. His eyes turn into hearts, and then Kokoro looks at him with his face like, remember, not all mermaids look like that. She doesn't say that, but that's what I feel she meant, because she's just like staring at him. And then he looks at her and he goes like, can't you just let me have my dream? And that part to me was so funny, because she didn't need to say anything.
She didn't say anything, he just fell apart. It was just like, oh no. I love it so much.
And then she goes like, it's okay. Like, there's young mermaids
There's
too.
young mermaids too. She knows. She knows. Which, by the way, I wanted you to know that Oda has drawn Kokoro as a much younger mermaid.
Yeah?
Yes. It is in the SBS volume 66, where, there's like fan Q&A with Oda. And someone asked him, what did she look like when she was younger? And he drew her, and she is beautiful.
Really?
She is so beautiful. Yeah,
Aww.
you should go look it up if you want to see her. She's cute.
I will. I'm curious now. I will. And I'm glad, though, because Kokoro's pretty badass. I mean,
she's so badass, And
she fights.
Yeah. And
I really like Kokoro.
I like her. But you know what? I think she's still beautiful.
Yeah, she is. And she knows how to flaunt it.
Yeah, she don't care. She lets it all hang out.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
You go, Kokoro.
We're starting to get a bunch of little tiny tidbits of foreshadowing in here, which you probably wouldn't know.
No.
Not like, you shouldn't know coming into this, but I see it all and I'm like, like every single thing that is said at this point, everything that each one of the characters says plays into something that's going to happen involving them or involving that. Mm-hmm. And it is fascinating.
Ooh.
Because there's this one point where we see Sanji's excited about the mermaids, which you think, that's going to be like he's probably going to flirt with a mermaid. It's well beyond that. The importance of that is it plays in so big. You don't even know. And then we see Nami, because she knows fishmen. Mm-hmm. They were pirates. It was the Arlong Park. So we kind of see that she seems to be dreading this a little bit.
Yeah. With much reason.
With much reason, yeah. Then this is when Zoro speaks up and he says, well, they were pirates. Not all fishmen are going to be like that.
True.
I shouted. I was like, Zoro, that is so profound. That is such a profound thing.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, he's got a point. Not all people from somewhere need to be the same way.
Exactly.
We shouldn't default to that.
Right. But of course, the first thing that Sanji says is, Zoro's really stupid, but I kind of agree with him there. Yeah. And even he gets it. Mermaids are great. I'm screaming, and those of you who have already seen the show or know what's coming are probably screaming with me when you see that. If not, I will scream on my own. It's fine. This is when Kokoro warns them, on the way to Fishman Island, though, you got to pass through something that is called the Florian Triangle, which, I mean, that's the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah,
come on.
definitely.
So it's like this place where, ships go missing constantly. I think they said, 14 in the past month. And it's very spooky.
It's very spooky. Then the ships come back empty. They're just like ghost ships.
Yes. And that might be the ghost ship that Franky got on when he was, injured from the train. So
exactly.
In his past.
Yeah. Nami and Chopper are super scared. Wait, what? We have to go through that? I mean, I'd be a little creeped out too, honestly. Mm-hmm. But then Robin mentions that they are also called treasure ships.
Ta-da! Ta-da. Thanks, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Finding a silver lining in something for once. A positive one that doesn't just scare us.
Yeah. Which makes sense because they're abandoned now, so everything is up for grabs.
Right. Everything is up for grabs. So, of course, Nami is like, oh, what? Yeah, okay. I'm fine with this now.
Okay.
And then Luffy mentions something like, oh, yeah, I hope we get to hang out with a bunch of skeletons. That sounds cool. Do you know what he's
Luffy.
referring to?
No, but I
Okay.
think so.
You
I
think
mean,
you
I
know?
don't know if that's like foreshadowing of the upcoming
Ha-ha.
crew member
Ha-ha.
that I know is
Ha-ha.
part of the crew.
Ha-ha. Who knows? Who knows?
I don't want to say it because
We don't
I'm
know.
already spoiled. I don't want to spoil
We don't know.
anybody. But yeah, I didn't think
Unknown.
about that when he said it though.
Ha-ha.
I see what you did there.
I'm trying so hard not to. So that's when some people bust in to tell them that the ship is done.
Yes, the girls, Kiwi and
Yes. Mozu.
and Mosu and Chimney come get them. They're like, hey, the ship is ready. And as they're heading out to
Go
go
see it.
see it, the Franky fam comes in too. And they're like, we got some bad news. You're all wanted. You got bounty posters. Here they are.
Yeah, here
and
they
they're
are.
so excited.
They're
Everyone's
so
like,
excited. That's not bad news at all.
Finally. And then we get to see each one, and it's the most hilarious thing
It is so
ever.
good. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Wanted posters are always exciting because this is kind of how, like, you see Oda sets up the power structure in the story. So, like, gives you numbers and ways to measure characters' powers. Yeah.
Yes.
But he has lots of fun with these posters.
Yes, he does. And it is great. So we see our main two guys who already had wanted
Right.
posters.
Luffy's been upgraded to 300 million berries.
He's like, yeah.
And then Zoro has 120 million berries.
He does a little
he's-
chuckle.
he's all, he's smug about it.
Yeah.
But now we see Nami with this scandalous picture of her in the
pool.
bikini in the pool. And she has 16 million berries.
Oh, she's so distraught about
She's
it.
she's
Oh my
very
gosh.
upset.
It's like,
I think
no.
I think later we find out it's because like she thought she was just getting a picture taken. She didn't know it was like gonna be put
No wonder
everywhere.
she's
you know?
posing. She's all like, and I'm like, how did they ever take that picture?
Right. You would think a wanted poster is supposed to be terrible, but no, hers is very poised. And then we get Chopper's.
Chopper pet. There's a disclaimer.
And he's only worth 50 berries.
50 berries, and he's so
So
sad.
sad.
So disappointed. But his picture is great. He's
Which
eating
is
cotton
cute.
candy.
Yeah, he looks really threatening.
Very worthy of the 50 berries he got.
Oh, yeah, all 50. He'll cover all the candy it'll take to feed him.
Oh my god.
And then beautiful Robin, 80 million berries.
Yep, she
So-
got a pretty high upgrade there.
Yup. And then
And then Sanji,
Sanji.
who's all ready to see his
He's so ready.
for
Yeah,
his
so
bounty.
ready for this. Yep.
Because Zoro got one first. He didn't get one, so he, that when that happened, he was super disappointed. So he's ready for his bounty. And then we see his poster. 77 million, which not bad,
But the picture is
The picture-
so bad.
so bad. They didn't have a picture of him, so they made a portrait, and it looks awful.
Oh, this gag. This is a gag that comes up later. It's also very relevant to the story. Love it. This is really funny. Because we just see this hand-drawn picture of him. He looks terrible and dumb.
His lips are all
His
plucked off.
nose is a weird little it looks like something a kindergartner drew, and it's just like, oh, heck, you know what? Kindergartners have more talent than that. But yeah, and they keep making the joke like, oh, I didn't know it was a picture. Zoro said something like that, or I didn't know it was a drawing. I thought it was real. And I was just like, oh, damn, Zoro.
Yeah.
Sliding in the burns like that.
I know. And Sanji's all like, oh my god, now everybody's gonna think that that's how I look.
Right.
You can see the little ghosts come out of his aura.
Right. He's just like, that's just killed him. Because, how's he going to get the ladies with a poster like that, I guess? And then Franky, too, so Franky fam, show his as well. And they're like, yeah, he's got 44 million berries on his head now. Which means that basically he's not safe. The government's going to be coming after him. There's so many pirates who come to Water 7 anyway to get ships built. Pirates and government and just people in general. He's going to be targeted.
Right. And now everybody knows who he is.
Yeah,
after
everyone
all of
knows.
this.
Yeah, everyone knows who Franky is. So it's just basically the Franky fam. They say he can't stay in Water 7 anymore, and he asks the Straw Hats to take Franky with them.
Yeah, and they thought it was going to be like a hard sell. They're like...
Yeah, they're ready to beg and
Yeah,
whatever.
they're begging, and they're like, his parents were pirates.
Right,
he'll be
yeah.
good at it.
Right, and they're like, it's in his blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it actually
And that's where it ends.
ends there.
Yeah. On home video, One Piece episode of East Blue is now available on the Funimation shop, dubbed for the first time, with an exclusive 20th anniversary documentary featuring the English cast and the Funimation crew. Episode of Skypiea is now available for pre-order, coming out November 28th, dubbed also for the first time, with exclusive dub outtakes. Get them both at funimation.com/shop for your collection. Episode 321, The King of Animals That Overlooks the Sea, the Dream Ship Magnificently Complete.
Woo!
Yay!
So Luffy, straight away, he agrees. He's like, yeah, like, you don't have to beg. Franky can join our crew.
Exactly.
I wanted him anyway. I needed a shipwright. I wanted him to join. So he's already decided.
So that's settled, and the Franky fam's like, okay, tells the girls, like, you need to stay here because we're going to go do some dirty business. And I'm like, what is this dirty business?
And you're like,
little did I know.
Little did you know what was about to happen. Just how dirty. Oh, my God.
The crew's getting ready to leave. They're like picking up all their stuff.
Right.
Sanji's so sad still about
the picture.
his picture. And suddenly Zoro asks, like, are we all in agreement about Usopp? And everybody's like, yeah, we all decided that it's the right thing to do. So we know, or at least I'm like, oh, that's what the serious conversation was about.
We get a hint. That's what it was about. We still haven't seen what's happened in that conversation yet, though. So the crew steps out, and Kokoro and Chimney are there to say goodbye.
Yes.
And it's all really sad. Like, for me, it's just like, oh, God.
Yeah, I know.
It'd be so hard to say goodbye to people that you've gone through so much with.
I know. And they were the first people we met, because we met them right before we got to Water 7 at that, like, little station. So,
yeah. This is really tying it all back together.
I didn't think it was, that funny-looking old lady and annoying little girl.
Right. You never would have thought.
Yeah. And the frog was suddenly jumped.
Right. And the frog is suddenly just there. And you're like, oh, well, God, okay. But yeah, now it did a one piece on you.
Yep.
It's like it took one piece of your heart.
I know. And now we say goodbye.
And then we quickly jump over to Marine headquarters where the Marines are talking about the straw hats, and it does come up with the little wanted posters.
Yes.
And they're like, the guy, apparently the photographer, was like, yeah, like I tried to get a picture of black like Sanji, but look, shakingly holds the photo out, and he's like, it turned out black. And the admiral, or whoever he is like, did you forget to take off the lens cap? So now we finally see why there was no good photograph of Sanji. So then the group is finally arriving to see their ship. Franky isn't there, but we all get to see the ship now. It's like covered in a huge tarp. My gosh, that must be a huge tarp. And then Iceberg just pulls this thing off with
a hand.
Like a feather. Yeah. Just, okay, all right. Screw logic. But then we see it. There's the ship.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's super colorful. It's so big.
Huge. At least twice as big as the Mary, I think they said. What were your thoughts?
I loved it. It's so pretty. Yeah. And I really like that it has, like, the Franky style. Like, you can see his penmanship, if that's the correct word to use.
I see what you mean.
Like, it has the numbers, how he numbered his battle Frankies and stuff. So I really like the design, and I really like that it's super colorful, and it's got all these improvements. It's got a lawn.
Oh my gosh, right? What'd you think about a lawn on a ship?
Like, whoa, yeah, it'd be great for naps, for sure, like Zoro says.
Right, and the line that they're saying, it's like, if you're going to be the king of the pirates someday, then your ship should be the king of beasts. That was what Franky had said through Iceberg to Luffy. So that's why we see, what the masthead is. And there's this point where, like, Nami and Iceberg are talking ship, and I was fascinated because I love nautical things. Yeah. And so he's talking with her, and Nami's like, is the sail a sloop? And then later, Iceberg is like, it's a gaff sail. It's a brigantine ship. Okay.
What does that mean?
So
tell us.
It was weird that Nami said that because a sloop is a ship that has one mast, where this one very clearly has two, and mast is the stick things that come up. Y'all know that. A gaff sail it's the little sail in back that goes parallel with the ship. Instead of, the sails that are, square and sideways, like the gaff sail is the one that like is in the back that's parallel. It's on the ship. It's has red and black stripes on it. That's the gaff sail.
Instead of facing this way. Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah. Y'all can't see
you
that,
can't
but
see
you
that,
know
but
what I
I'm
mean.
doing it with my hands.
Look at a picture of it. It's the red and black sail. That's the gaff sail, and it has a top sail above it, which is the square sail on the front. And a brigantine ship basically is a style of ship that has 2 masts, and the foresail has, square rigging, which means square sails on it that kind of stack up usually. On this ship, of course, like they reduce the amount of sails by a ridiculous amount. There's only 3 sails on this entire huge ship, which shouldn't work, but it does. We'll just chalk it up to Franky and Iceberg's amazing talent. But in the brigantine, in the back, it can have this gaff sail style. Those ships, actually, they were kind of, I guess the name became more popular in like the 1600s or so. And like this is the kind of ship that you saw like around the time of North American colonies and stuff, British colonization. And the sloop was a popular sailing ship, but so was the brigantine. The brigantine was preferred by pirates and others who wanted a ship that was a little bit more agile and kind of more easy to like navigate and like escape from the world government with. Like, let's just say that. Yeah. So, so it's really neat that Oda, took this design and kind of made it his own.
Yes.
Added an aquarium.
Yes.
Well, I mean, this is definitely Franky's taste in here. Adding an aquarium, adding a huge kitchen with a lock on the fridge, which Sanji was excited about. Yes, very. Just all sorts of stuff. A lawn. What the heck?
A lawn.
That just blows my mind. But it's great. Why not?
Great. Yeah, for sure. Iceberg points out that Franky's hiding. He's not there because he knows Luffy's intentions, and he wouldn't be able to refuse an invitation to join the crew. So that's why he just left it to Iceberg, to present them with the ship.
Right. Truth bomb right there. I mean, like everyone can read it at this point. You can tell just how happy, Franky was to be building this.
And he sort of explains it to them a little bit too, like the reasoning behind Franky's. They tell him, Iceberg tells them, like his bond to Water 7 and the people here, it's basically like the chain that's tying him here. So if you want him to go with you, you basically are going to have to force him to leave.
Yeah, so that is actually a very important line. Because we've seen countless times, like, people joining the crew, and every single time, like the way Oda writes it, he makes sure that it is that character's choice.
Yes. I noticed that too.
Exactly. You got it. Like, you saw it. Because it's like,
when they said that and Luffy was like, and he sort of agreed that was the way they would have to do it. And I was like, that is so unlike Luffy.
It is. It's not quite him. That's why they had to have a character tell Luffy, you have to force Franky.
Because he's not going to do it.
Because Luffy would not.
Himself.
Luffy would just be like, oh, I guess you don't want to. Okay, I'm not going to force you. But someone had to tell Luffy, like, no, you gotta use some amount of force. And we'll see how that plays out later.
Yes. Also, I did think, like, with everything that happens later on, I kept thinking about this and going back to that and, like, why would Luffy go so against his own way of being,
sure.
But then I thought about how everyone was begging him to do it. So it was like he was helping, He was helping Franky fam protect Franky. He was helping Franky do the right thing that he really wanted to do anyways.
I think that's the key is at this point, enough people had explained to Luffy that Franky wanted it in his heart so that Luffy knew that he wasn't forcing him to do something he didn't want to do.
Right.
It was more just, okay, I gotta
push
him a little bit. Just gotta get him, to see it. So this is where we see the Franky fam. They approach Franky and
at the site where the house was.
Yeah, where the house was
and be reconstructed now.
Yes, very much. So the Franky family is so sweet. God, they go up to him and they're basically saying, we want you to go because we want you to achieve your dreams. Like, we saw you building the ship and saw how happy you were making this ship. You want this. Like, we can tell this is like you want to be with this ship and with this crew. Also, to top that off, you are wanted, so you're not safe staying here with us. Like, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And Franky, of course, is just like, blah, blah, blah. Like, he is not having it. And he is, like, kind of yelling at them, saying, like,
what would you do without me?
What would you do without me? Like, you can't even build this building up. And that's when one of the guys goes in and does the dirty work and just snags Franky's underwear.
Yep, this is where the dirty business begins. And we see...
Naked Franky.
Franky butt right in our faces.
Glorious Franky butt. With all the little hairs and whatever been done on it. God, I can't. Oh. I mean, okay, so Franky already, open Hawaiian shirt, always, no pants ever, which I kind of attribute to, like, he always wants to be ready for his centaur mode, so why pants? You know, you gotta... You know, that would hinder his capabilities. I'll give him that. But he at least always wears this, like, Speedo-like underwear.
Yep, it's his only pair.
Only pair that he has, which that was horrifying to hear.
So he has to get them back or stay naked, I guess?
Yeah.
So objective, get the briefs to Scrap Island. So Franky's forced to face the Straw Hats. And then... There we go. We get the silliest relay race ever. To try to get those undies to Luffy.
To Scrap Island.
Mm-hmm. And we see them, you know, just passing them around.
Right. They have to go through the city. And there
Everybody's
are witnesses.
Looking, yeah.
And, like, there's this one point when, like, Franky tackles one of the fam and, like, is sitting on him. And I'm mentally just like, no. and he's,
oh, my God. I laughed so much during this whole part.
It was so bad. And, like, my first time watching it, I was, like, a little bit just too shook. You know, I was just...
All this ass, I can't take it.
I can't handle it. It was just the concept that there were children there in the streets,
the children,
like pointing, like seeing, witnessing all of this. And the town is like there's a pervert, and he's even more indecent than usual. There's even this one point where, like, he's running and there's just a very convenient baseball bouncing, like, in front of the screen, so you don't see the things you don't want to see.
Yeah, definitely. Very glad for that. And Franky's, like, catching up to them too. Like, they're doing a good job of you know, relaying the undies to each other. They have to try
really damn hard.
Yeah.
Because he's a force to reckon with.
Mm-hmm. And even, like, buildings are getting toppled over. Like it's a disaster.
It's a bit of a mess. Yeah. And this is where Luffy sweeps in and he takes undies from him.
Yep.
So now Luffy has grabbed Franky's undies, and Luffy is running around on the rooftops while Franky is down below, butt naked, racing after him. And of course, when do you talk about the new ship? Now, when you are running naked through the streets.
Right. After calling him a little turd, which basically means little shit.
Yeah. Basically. So
your future captain, okay. So yeah, we're talking about the ship.
Right.
How did you like it?
He's like, it's great.
It's great.
Like, motion carrying undies in your hand as you shout, it's great.
And he's talking about the aquarium. And did you see the aquarium? You can put fish in there.
So you can eat.
And have a fancy dinner.
And my soldier dock system, have you tried that yet? And Luffy's like, nope, not yet. And he even says, like, it's a ship of dreams for both of us. And he's bragging about the ship. You can see how much he loves this ship. Mm-hmm. And then, oh my God, I'm sorry. Then the worst thing of all happens. When Chopper grabs it with his mouth.
No,
Chopper. He grabs the underwear in his mouth
the
and
single
runs.
Underwear that Franky has. Chopper, no.
Chopper, no.
What a way to take one for the team, Chopper.
Oh, man.
No hesitation there.
No hesitation. No question. No one else seems to be shocked by this in the show. But I've actually seen, like, many other places where people are just like, oh, no. Why did he in his mouth? No. But here we go. So Chopper takes the undies, and he and Luffy are about to head to Scrap Island. And this is when Zoro and Sanji grab Franky and drop him into the shoot anything cannon that the Franky fam has, and they launch him through the sky.
Yep.
All the way to Scrap Island, and then Luffy takes Chopper and he, like, you know, rubber launches himself towards Scrap Island too. And then, of course, the way he lands, Franky lands in the splits with all his glory, showing to just this crowd that has gathered, of course. Someone even said, like, heaven is punishing us in the crowd. And I'm like, yeah, uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah. And Chimney even sees him.
Chimney's there. Poor little girl.
She's not bothered. Neither is Kokoro.
Nope.
It's like, okay, all right.
Yep.
And this is where Luffy gives his final message. If you want your undies back, you're gonna have to join us.
To be continued. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Can't buy new undies, clearly.
What? Clearly. Episode 322. Goodbye, my dear underlings. Franky departs. First of all, do you think that title was being an innuendo?
I see what you mean. I didn't catch it, but it definitely must have.
I mean, there's so
My
many
dear
different
underlings.
ways you can say that.
Yes,
like,
that's
goodbye,
true.
my bros, my friends,
My fam.
my dear underlings.
My dear underlings.
So
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's not just me.
No.
I'm not like perverted. Okay.
Jonna. What a mind. So Franky's, if he wants his undies back, he's got to join the crew.
Yeah. Right. He can't buy anymore.
Mm-hmm. But he's sort of over it. He's like, you know what? Keep them. Would
Right.
you ask a lion to wear underwear?
He's standing on the rocks and like the waves crash behind him in this beautiful scene, that's very typical poetic sort of scene. And it says, nothing should faze a man, or nothing should faze men. A man should be resourceful, even with only the skin on his back. He should be like a lion that stands against the waves. It's like this beautiful poem in the back, but it's just... He's just naked.
He's just there naked. And he's so proud of it.
He's so proud.
And he flaunts it so hard that it shines all of a sudden.
It all shines. And Luffy loses his mind. He's like, duh! My plan has been foiled because he is so... He is so manly. Like, I was a fool to think this would hinder him.
And everybody's
and then Nami's like, no, he's a pervert.
Yeah. And everybody's just there bashed
Just
by
like-
the light. And I'm just like, what is this?
Oh my God. So this is when Robin steps in and she lends a hand.
Literally, and she says she has a plan. And then it was hilarious because she does, her motion when she, puts her hands in front of her
Right.
chest cross. And then she just does a grab.
Right.
Like she grabs.
She just grabs with her two
and
hands.
You know
exactly
you
what
just
happened.
know what just happened.
You know, because you see these legs appear out, or these hands appear out on Franky's legs.
Yeah.
And you know what she's going for. And then you see her do her grab, like arms out, like motion.
Yeah.
Like they show it like 7 times. They like dun dun dun, like repeat it just in case you didn't get the message. And Franky instantly is just like lightning shocks around him. He's screaming in pain.
And everybody's like in shock.
Yeah, like everyone like just stunned silence, shocked, like Iceberg and whatever. They're all just like
Chopper and Luffy are
they're in
"What are
pain
you
for him,
doing?" Yeah.
sympathy pains. Like even when Lady's like, I know he's a pervert, but gosh, it's like gross little jokes. Like Mozu and Kiwi are like, she'll crush them like little oranges.
He did it several times with several fruits.
Next they say grapes, and he's like, no. And then later on, I think they say apples, and he's like, that's more like it. And you're like, oh gosh, come on.
Jeez. Oh, I don't wanna picture
I don't want to
any
know
of this.
I don't want any of
Please.
this in my mind. And Robin herself, I'm just like her hands-on approach.
Yep.
Baffles me too.
Mm-hmm.
But Luffy even says, like, I still want him to be a man when he joins us.
Yeah.
Just like, this is so gross. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah, because he continues, and even after he continued talking, he's like in pain, and Luffy and Chopper are like, Robin!
like, Robin, come on. Then mixed in with all of this, Iceberg comes up.
Yeah,
and-
Franky tells them as he's begging, as he's trying to, liberate himself from this
Right.
situation.
Right.
He's like, I can't leave. That's why I gave you my ship of dream. And
Right.
that's when Iceberg calls him out.
That's right. Iceberg calls him out, and he's like, I do recall. We see like a bit of a flashback of when Franky was young and building his little battleships and stuff. And he's saying, like, I want to build a ship that reaches the end of the world, and I want to join the crew and help that ship get there.
And that's when it'll become my ship of dreams.
That's when it's his ship of dreams. Is when he joins it and he sees it through to the end.
Yeah.
That's when it is the ship of dreams. Bam, right there. That's it.
That's it.
We know Franky's been kind of lying about this,
Yeah.
like saying it was just to build it. No, you wanted to be a part of it.
And he flat out calls him out. Like, he tells him, you're here because of guilt. And I'm like,
boom!
Ooh, in your face.
That is deep. That is deep. I like, and it's because, you know, he's saying Franky blames himself for Tom, and Iceberg is like, he's already forgiven you just because of that moment when Franky was saying, like, he was so mad that he built those warships or little battleships that actually hurt people. And he was like, I hate my ships, or something like that. And Tom had like punched him and was like, no, you must be proud of every ship you create. It just shows that, like, you know, Tom loved him like all the way through the end. And so Iceberg is also saying how, you know, he took in the Franky family, and like, you taught them how to build the ships and everything. You know, you're just blaming yourself for all of it, for everything that went wrong. And Franky, of course, is just like refuting. He's like, that's not it.
Yeah, to me, the part here was when Iceberg told him, like, it's time to forgive yourself. And I'm like, boom. Like,
boom. That was it.
Yeah, because to me, I can totally relate to that. Like, I feel like sometimes it's easier to forgive other people for what they do and their mistakes than to forgive ourselves.
Right.
Because, you know, it's harder.
Right.
To
it
us
is.
just
Exactly.
move on and cut yourself some slack.
I think that's really beautiful. Yeah. That's actually when I cried, because, like, you know, it's just that hits deep. There's times when you don't forgive yourself for stuff, and you're just like, and you watch him crying. And I think at this point, like, suddenly, like, the Franky family throws luggage down in front of him, and they're like, here, it's for your trip. Like, we packed all your stuff for you. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, and they tell him, like, we just want you to be happy. And he loses it. Like, he's even, like, we see him, like, even, like, go back.
he literally gets pushed back by that statement. And, I mean, they let you kind of at first assume, you know, oh, Robin must have struck again.
Yeah.
The way he, like, gets pushed back, it's so powerful. But truly, that statement really is incredible, because for people who feel a lot of guilt and shame for things that they've done, they often don't feel like they deserve to be happy. And so now these people are saying, like, we want you to be happy. And it's just,
yeah, I know.
It breaks your heart. And so this is when we realize what's actually going on, what Robin is actually doing. Because they're like, oh, stop it, Robin. Like, stop. You can't keep doing this. And or like they look over and her hands are down. And they're like, wait, Robin, you're not. She's like, I only did it the once. But now he has this chance to cry all he wants, and no one will know that it's because of his emotions.
It's because Robin.
Right. It's because of Robin. Like, basically,
he's
like,
using it.
He's using it. Yeah, which is like, oh, come on. Like, men can cry. That is acceptable. I think it's this kind of, like, joke about her saving his, like, manliness, even though she just by crushing it, she saved it. Like, I don't know what this is, but it was just like, it's sweet in a way, because then you see him just sobbing his eyes out, and he keeps saying, like, it hurts.
Yeah.
It's like, it's your heart that's hurting.
It's your heart. Oh, and then we see, like, him flashback to how he sort of collected his Franky fam.
Right.
And how he met all of them.
Picked them up off the streets. You saw Mozu and Kiwi all drunk, and he's just like, no, let's get some soda.
Yeah.
You know?
You're too young to be, and it's too early to be this drunk.
Right.
Let's get some soda.
Cola.
And some cola, yes. And then some guys that were hungry. He picked them up too. He was like,
and fed them.
Come get some food. And he made that house where all these people were welcome. And then I realized, like, Franky was basically running a shelter for people who didn't have someone to take care of them or anywhere to go. And I was like, they weren't just a silly bunch of people who were just doing, you know, silly things and stealing stuff together.
It was a meaningful group.
It was a meaningful group.
And I mean, and Franky also, like, Franky himself was, I think, like, you know, his parents left him, like, abandoned him or whatever. So, like, Tom rescued him. So he's just, like, returning the favor kind of thing. And he's, Oda,
why you do this to me every single time? I think I know what they are. And no, look at this.
No.
It goes even deeper.
It goes even deeper every time.
Jesus.
And they even have that little line, leave your tears behind, because we're going to have a super time.
Yes, and they have the little dance.
Little arm thing, yes. And that's when Franky calls out to to them, like, as they're, trying to set him off. And he's like, will you be okay without me? So we see, this, it really is, it's this guilt. It's this, like, wanting to protect the family and his bros and stuff. And he's really just, like, crying it out. Mm-hmm. But this is when Zoro and Sanji, like, appear. And they're like, Garp is coming.
Yes.
We gotta go.
We gotta go,
okay.
now.
And Sanji's like, put your pants on, Franky. Like, we gotta go. Like, damn it, Franky, put your underwear on. And then Luffy finally throws in the underwear and is like, get on my ship, captain's orders. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, yay. But still, Franky doesn't put the underwear on as he's walking to it. I'm like, can that please be, like, step number one? But no. First he has to, like, approach the ship, carrying all this stuff, holding the underwear. We'll get there.
Yes. And he's like, okay, I gotta protect my masterpiece, so I guess I'll join after all of this. And we're like,
yes.
Well, if that's what makes you feel happy, saying yes, okay. But we know your true reasons.
Right. Yeah, of course, he says it's, to take care of the ship and be a shipwright, but...
Yes, and we get a little, like, as he's getting ready to depart, we see, like, the day the train sailed, like, we get a flashback of all of that. And I think it's a very cool parallel of, the day the train sailed for the first time and now Franky's sailing off.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really clever. I like that. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
Because they're so excited when the train finally sails and they're all crying.
And it was a big send-off.
Exactly.
And so that parallels to this send-off where he's kind of in his head saying goodbye to all of them, to Iceberg and to Granny. And he says, I love you guys so much.
I know.
Oh, we knew it, Franky.
So he does his, like, final farewell and does this big leap.
Right. That's when he oh my God. He turns around sobbing and you're all like, my heart's melted. I'm like, verge of tears. And then he just jumps with his butt in the air.
Yeah, I'm gonna super miss you all.
I'm gonna super miss you all. And like, but first, like, flies into the air and whatever, Franky.
And we get that, that freeze shot.
The freeze frame, yeah.
At the end of episodes where we get, like, the cool drawing style of Franky's butt.
Soaring to the stars, to the future.
End. What a great episode.
Oh, man.
And now it's time for our social question, the last social question of the season. And we asked everybody, it's the last podcast episode of the 20th anniversary One Piece binge. So how are you feeling and what were your favorite parts of this journey?
Yeah.
So we got a couple interesting answers. We got a lot of people asking us if we were going to continue the binge.
Aww, yeah.
And, they want to keep hearing us reacting to things. So
that's sweet.
I know. Thank you, everybody, for all that support. We are planning on having more One Piece at a time, hopefully soon. So, it's coming. So no worries about that. Shari Mutulo said, my favorite part was me before Water 7 saying, remember, going merry is only a boat. And then me after going merry was gone. Sobs.
Oh, my God. True.
Oh, that definitely was one of the most emotional moments of this whole thing.
Very emotional.
Yeah. That and Robin and Nami's story, I think, for me, were, like, the most emotional parts.
Right. Very hard-hitting.
Mm-hmm. Gabe Coda has a similar answer on Facebook saying that his favorite part was when Luffy says, Mary, if anybody should be apologizing, it's us.
Oh.
I know. That was a hard one, too. We got a bunch more answers on Twitter. Gobonastic saying that he loves the podcast, which is great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have some other people saying their favorite part was the hosts.
Oh,
which was great.
Oh my
Thank you so
gosh.
much. My favorite part was Jocelyn, MJ, and Jonah are also all incredible. Much love.
Oh my gosh.
Aisha says. So thank you so much, Aisha.
Wow, thank you, Aisha. I'm so flattered. Wow.
TC says, after getting caught up on the simulcast, it was nice to be able to relive the journey from the beginning and remember why I got into One Piece in the first place. That's great. I'm glad that, that all of you are enjoying this rewatch for you. I mean, I'm watching for the first time, so I can't speak to it, but I'm sure you have also enjoyed.
Yes, just rewatching has been phenomenal because, I'm seeing so much more the second time around. Good stories do that, where you just get so much more the second time. Oh, it's great. I hope a lot of people are having fun doing that.
Yes. Phantom Luffy has a similar answer, saying, my favorite part of this binge journey was just to revisit all the adventures and amazing memories that were made from the very beginning, the East Blue to the Grand Line, and all the crazy events that occurred within and moving forward. Which is great.
Very true.
Yeah, I love hearing. It was when Ace was Arnau's favorite. Mm-hmm. That's true. Mm-hmm. That's definitely one of the highlights. And then Lord Spookus says, could it be anything besides the Straw Hats versus CP9? I mean, yeah, definitely. This is a series loaded with great moments, but Enies Lobby is a good tier arc and my personal favorite.
Very true. I definitely see that a lot. A lot of people really something about Water 7, Enies Lobby, that arc really just solidifies all your feelings for the Straw Hats. It just glues you in. It's just a really great arc. Yeah. And I think it takes all the things that we saw before it to get there. Mm-hmm. Every single emotional moment, like you were saying, like Nami's, backstory and just all of it, Chopper, oh my gosh, everything just building up to that. You had to have that to get to where we are. Yeah,
and solidify them as the Straw Hats.
These Straw Hats and your love for each one of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so good. Yes. Thank you, everybody, for your answers. Thank you for the love. It was all great. And continue to follow us on Facebook at One Piece Official and on Twitter at One Piece Anime. So we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back. Episode 323. Departing the City of Water, Usopp mans up and brings closure to the duel. Vice Admiral Garp is really here. When Sanji and Zoro came in running, at first I was like, is this true? Or are we trying to make Franky leave faster?
Yeah, was it just a ploy?
Yeah,
no.
But it's for real.
Yeah, Luffy's grandpa is actually after him. I mean, we see Garp on the ship. Aokiji is like, oh, I thought you were just gonna, ignore it. I thought we were just gonna leave. And Garp is like, well, Navy wasn't really happy with the excuse of he's my grandson, so I can't chase after him. So now I have to do it.
Yeah, basically. So the Straw Hats are departing then because, the Marines are coming. And everybody's asking Luffy, are we going to wait a little bit longer, see if Usopp shows up? And you can see that he's super nervous.
He's sweating and he's nervous.
He's super nervous, but smiling nope, we said we were going to do it and that's what we're going to do. And I'm like, man. Right. And then we see what was discussed that day.
Yes. Probably one of the most intense fights. I think it was more intense when Luffy and Usopp were fighting. Mm-hmm. When they broke up. But this one definitely, to see Zoro like this, I think was just shocking.
Agree.
Because he's always the cool guy, kind of dumb sometimes, but bless him, and just chill and whatever. And then
he was super worked up.
This is when he was worked up. Mm-hmm. So we finally see the conversation that was happening in that room, and Luffy was saying he wants Usopp to come back.
Yeah, and Sanji was sort of telling them what he saw back at the docks.
Right. How Usopp was very cheesily, just kind of coming up with little lines of how he tried to get them to bring him back. And, oh, you'll make me vice captain, right? And stuff like that.
And everyone was super happy. Chopper and Luffy immediately were like, wait, Usopp wants to come back?
Yes.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go get him. And I think they turn around, right? They turn around and are walking to the door.
I think so. They're very much, ready to go. And then that's when Zoro is like, no, wait. He has this issue with it that you can't just go kiss Usopp's ass,
right?
Just because you want to see him again, like, and say that you want to see him again.
Yeah.
He even tells Nami to shut up, which I was just like, oh, you're going there, Zoro?
Yeah.
You literally like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But his point is, like, he's saying, you know, you had this duel, like you had this fight, and it was this agreement between men of, like, you know, Luffy and Usopp agreeing that, you know, Usopp was going to leave. Mm-hmm. And Zoro's saying, you had this, you have to accept it. You have to honor that. It's not good, not just on Usopp's part to be welcomed back with no one having any issues with it. It also is bad on Luffy because it makes him look like a bad captain because he's not demanding respect, or like commanding respect, I guess, from his crew. Because if Luffy doesn't honor the deal, a crew can't honor him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically what Zoro says. He's like, you gotta man up too. Like, it's
right.
It comes from both of you.
Exactly.
And if you don't man up and accept the results of the duel and just welcome back Usopp, then I'm gonna be the one to leave. And I was like, whoa,
so intense, Zoro.
But he's got a point. Like, the crew needs to know that Usopp's not going to just pull this off whenever he doesn't agree with something.
Right.
Which is a good point.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Like, this is a group you're going to be with for, y'all didn't even know. It could be for the rest of their lives. They don't know. And, like, you have to, like, be able to trust each other and know no one can just back out at any time.
Exactly. If you're going to be part of the crew, then you need to respect the captain. And, well, this is the way we make sure that you respect the captain. But also the captain needs to, like you said, command that respect, because if not, they'll just walk all over him.
Right.
But he has to do that. Like, he has to demand it from their crew.
Yeah, he has to fulfill his end of the deal, which was letting Usopp quit. Mm-hmm. This all it comes back to that issue of choice.
Exactly.
In joining the crew.
So they both got a man up, which is hard. I feel both parts. Like, it's hard, especially when you like somebody, when they're your friend, and it's hard to command respect, like, and sort of draw a line of the things that you accept or not.
Setting boundaries.
I know.
It's important and difficult.
Yes. And the other way around too, like we mentioned before, like it's hard when you did this and you sort of broke this bond or broke this trust. Now you need to come back, man up, and come back and apologize for what you did if you want to be accepted. And that's hard to do too. Yeah. So hard.
So hard. And here's the thing, like, because Sanji even agrees with Zoro, which, I mean, you expect him to at this point, but it's very, like, that's one of those things that just kind of seals it a little bit, because you can tell, like, Nami, Chopper, and Luffy are all just like, but be friends, let's be friends and happy, and then, like, Sanji, Zoro, and Robin's staying silent, but, you know, Sanji and Zoro really kind of are standing firm. And Luffy agrees. They essentially, apparently, like, they made this agreement. I mean, one thing that Zoro said is, like, we're not pretending to be pirates.
Right.
Basically, take this seriously. I think that's important. So when we go back to the ship, when their ship is leaving, we see, you know, Luffy does not look okay. He's, like, nervous and shaking. And actually, there's a point when Robin looks over at Zoro's hand while Zoro is, like, holding his sword, and his hand is shaking. Even Zoro is, like, nervous.
Yeah, he's having a hard time with it, too.
He's having a hard time.
Even though he's the one enforcing it.
Right.
But he's right.
I mean, he's right, but, like, yeah, I mean, they've got to square off with their own emotions here and just, like, swallow down how much they want Usopp there and acknowledge, like, but this is what the reality is.
Exactly. So yeah, Luffy accepts it, and he's like, okay, we have a couple more days to go. So, because I think Zoro says, like, the first thing that needs to come out of Usopp's mouth is an apology.
Yes.
If that's not the case, then he can't come back.
Yes. That's right. That is key right there, because he sets the, like, this is the rule. This is what it is. This is how we know that, you know, he's actually, like, Usopp has actually chosen to come back.
Exactly. And they know how, like, because Sanji said what he was doing.
You're right. That is absolute key to the whole thing, is, like, it's when Usopp apologizes, like, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. That's what needs to happen.
So.
And And we all know Usopp. Well, we know his 63 scenarios.
Right, his different scenarios. And
and
here's the thing about those. And like we after this moment, we kind of see like Usopp is running through the town and he's kind of reciting some of this and saying like, surely they didn't leave me behind. And I'll just go to them and they'll say, oh, like Usopp, we wanted you here so bad and we'll make you captain. Everything, or like vice captain or whatever. And like every single scenario that Usopp pictures in his mind is one where they are begging him to come back. When they want him there. When they're saying they need him.
Yeah.
It's very far from an apology.
Yes.
And so we're witnessing
too
this.
Far from an apology.
And Usopp is even saying like, oh, I wasn't procrastinating. I was just, certainly they wouldn't leave me yet. And so, but they're already like off the dock. And Garp is, he's attacking already.
Yeah. And when Usopp's running through the city and he's like reciting all of these things that he thinks, all these things that he thinks that are going to happen, I was like thinking on it and how it reflects on us. Like, because sometimes it's easier to do that, right? We sometimes do that where we're like, well, surely nothing will happen. Like, we try to rationalize things instead of owning up to them because it's much easier to think that things will just blow over or things are going to go a certain way that will not require me to do the hard thing.
Essentially ghosting.
Exactly. Basically.
Just calling out all of us here in this world. Yep. Yeah.
So that's something that we were seeing and that we know. Like, now we saw this side. They are not going to accept anything less than an apology. And Usopp's clearly not planning on that at all. So we're like, oh my God, then what's going to happen?
But he is running to the ship.
He is.
And we're, hoping he gets there in time. But as we know, like they've already like kind of left the shore and Garp is attacking. Like,
yes.
This is frightening.
I know.
Because they hand him a cannonball, which, cannonballs are heavy.
I know.
It looks small in his hands, but remember, he's a huge dude. And he just takes it and he just throws it at the ship. And, bring me more. Like, bring me all the cannonballs. And, this is his meteor fist shower that he's preparing for. And the crew is just like, that cannonball flew faster than a normal cannonball. Like, and he just threw it by hand.
I know.
And
to our brand new ship.
To their brand new ship that they, like, it's going to get damaged. Even the Marines were like, oh, it's their ship. That sucks. They just got it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I noticed, too, is I think when Garp threw the cannonball, it actually, like, it missed them quite a bit, and it went between the ship and the shore, which actually, you can see it pushes the ship further out. From shore.
Interesting.
Which
I didn't notice that.
I don't know quite if I'm reading too much into that, but like if he did that on purpose, it's like he's actually helping their ship move.
Interesting.
Which is, it was a little cute. I was just like,
I thought it was super funny that he also like did the thing with the
megaphone.
The megaphone, and he's like, sorry, but I gotta send you to the depths of the ocean.
Right.
Gotta kill you, man. I tried.
He was like,
sorry,
this is your
grandson.
grandpa.
Yeah.
This is your grandpa speaking. Don't ignore me. And I'm like, oh my God.
So he's throwing all these cannonballs.
Right, because he doesn't have the heart to have his men actually attack his grandson. So he's saying, I'm going to fight you all on my own.
Yes.
So kind of giving them a chance.
So the crew's all sort of wondering, like, should we wait for Usopp a little longer? Is he coming? We're getting attacked now. And then Luffy's like, prioritize protecting the ship.
Right.
Which makes sense. Brand new ship that we waited for.
Protect the ship.
Yes.
We must protect.
So they're getting attacked, and all of a sudden, Chopper smells Usopp. He's like, he's here. He just like his little nose thingy.
Yeah, which blows my mind. Like you're smelling over an ocean, and like just the shore probably smells like dead fish and crap, and like there's this crowd up like on the shore, and among all that, you smell Usopp. Chopper is amazing.
Yes.
So he smells him, and he's like, whoa.
And then Usopp reaches the shore and goes in between the crowd, and he sees the ship leaving.
Yeah.
And he's like shocked, like, wait, like you're leaving
You're
me
actually
for real.
leaving.
Yeah.
Wait. Like, my heart kind of sank here because I knew what he was thinking. And he was saying things like, wait, all the time that I was fighting with you as Sogeking, you know that was me, right?
Right.
And he even is self-aware enough to say, like, I was just doing that to protect my pride, but you know that was me.
Right. You surely know that it was me. And I'm like, well, most of them.
I mean, so that's the thing. Most of them did. This is kind of the point where, like, his time spent as Sogeking with them, or sorry, as the Sniper King, was not him being himself. He was not being honest. Mm-hmm. You know, all of this, his fantasized approaches of how he's going to come back into the Straw Hats are essentially him, like, kind of lying to himself. This is what Usopp does.
Yeah.
Uso means lie. Like, this is him. He's even lying to himself at this point. And he was not being honest with the crew when he was Sogeking because he was hiding who he was. And what they're seeking is his honesty. And, like, it's not enough just that he is there with them. Mm-hmm. You know? So the ones who knew it was him, yeah. It's just kind of confirming to Usopp in his mind, like, okay, so guess that wasn't enough kind of thing.
He still, like, hopes that he's on time and that they're going to come back for him. So he's, like, makes a jump for it instead of taking the tiny stairs, you know,
right,
the tiny
just
ladder.
Leaps down. Right. He just leaps down
onto Scrap Island and starts yelling all of the things that he shouldn't be yelling, like all of the lies that he basically had told himself, like you're saying. Mm-hmm. And the other ones are focused on protecting the ship, except Tiny Chopper. And he's like, can't you see, like, Usopp's calling to us?
Right, don't you hear him? And then Luffy is like, no, I don't hear anything.
I don't hear anything. And I want to ask you this because this is what I got from that moment. Mm-hmm. They were ignoring him.
Oh, totally.
Right? Okay.
Totally.
I was like, they're ignoring him because this is not what he's supposed to be saying.
Right.
Okay. Okay, I got it. I was like, I wonder.
Yeah, I don't think this is just Chopper is an animal, so he has super hearing, like, because we see later, you know, they do hear him. So I think they're all ignoring him. And they specifically show, like Zoro also saying, nope, don't hear a thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, come on. Because they left the shore and truly, like, you know, are in the situation, it's clear they can't turn around at this point. They are serious. And just as Zoro had told Luffy to do, like, we got to take this seriously. And because they did, now Usopp is forced to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's such a big deal to him. And he's chasing after them. And he's still lying to himself, saying, I can't believe you believed it when I said I was leaving. Like, what? Why would you believe an Usopp lie?
Yeah.
Like, calling him his own self out. But when we go back to Usopp, we see a flashback of the conversation that they had around the Going Merry when the fight kind of first happened. And Usopp is basically saying, like, so you're just going to cut off all your dead weight because it's slowing you down. Referring to the Merry, but also he's talking about himself because he later says, like, you guys are beyond me. It was fine from the start, but y'all are so much stronger than I am. That I'm just dead weight to you.
Yes.
You just want to cut me out of the picture. Or, like, you know, I essentially, he thinks he's too weak to be with them. And so that's why part of why he chooses to leave and just stick with the Mary. So.
Oh my God, Usopp.
I know. It's very sad.
Yeah. And he's having, like, all this internal trouble where he's yelling out to his friends for all the wrong things, but he's still, like, hoping that they will come back for him. Right. And I can feel his pain. Like, I can feel him feeling that they're abandoning him.
Yes.
Even though, you know, he did say all of those things.
He did say all of those things. And this whole time that he's being so prideful and stubborn, you realize is because he's actually carrying a lot of shame. Mm-hmm. He's ashamed of his weakness, that, you know, he's not strong enough to keep up with the other guys. And I just want him to see, no, but your strength is being with the crew, you know? He sees them leaving. It's this moment where essentially, like, he realizes that they don't need him. You know, he's like, this whole time he's trying to confront this fact that, like, you know, he is too weak to be with them. He thinks that he is not needed. And that's why all of his scenarios in his head, he's saying, oh, like, they're going to welcome me back. They're going to wish I was there the whole time. They need me. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to paint this picture that they need him. And suddenly he's saying, oh, they don't need him. Then what is left for him to do but shout, I'm sorry. I was the stubborn one. Will you let me take it back? I need you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he realizes that his approach will not work. It is not the right thing to do. And there's only one last thing that he can do.
Right.
Which is that. And he yells out,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
He apologizes, finally.
Finally.
And you see on the ship, like Zoro looks relieved, like everyone just freezes. They all heard it. Of course they heard it. And as Usopp is there, like weeping on the shore, just like crying and saying like, I need you guys. And this is the moment where like Usopp finally accepts that, you know, he's the one who needs the crew, and it's his choice to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. He was the one who's deciding that he's too weak to be with them. He needs to overcome that, realize like they don't want him because he's strong or weak. They just want him there. Mm-hmm. And he needs to want to be there too. Right. So finally he's accepted it. He's apologized. And it's the apology we've all been waiting for. And here we go. Like, this is where Luffy is like, he's like throwing his arm out all the way back to the shore. Like, that is a crazy long stretch, even for him, I would say. And sticks his hand out. And so I was worried for a second that they were going to have like Luffy grab Usopp and pull him back into the ship.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to do.
But he didn't.
He didn't.
He put his hand there.
Yeah.
Because that gave Usopp the chance to make it a choice. Mm-hmm. So that's when Usopp chooses to grab his hand. And I mean, you're like, oh my God, his arm is like stretching out, like it's gonna snap back real quick. Like, you better grab that quick. But he still made it a choice. And then you see Luffy's face and he's just crying, like, grab my hand. Grab it.
He's crying. Usopp's crying.
Usopp is crying. Even Zoro says, like, don't let go of him. Like, don't drop him. Mm-hmm. And you're like, so you know Usopp wanted him back too. And then it's all really happy and beautiful. And they're like crying on the ship.
Crying. Chopper's so happy. Everybody's happy, honestly.
I'm happy. Are you happy, Jocelyn?
I was happy. Everybody's back together. And I think it was super important for Usopp to reach that conclusion all by himself. It'll help him value the crew and his place in it more.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, because imagine if he did just kind of doop back on the ship, however that happened, and they all just like, oh, Usopp, you're here. Hey, good friends again. There's always going to be that underlying question that, like, will he leave us again? You know, it's just all these underlying tensions that you can't have in a really good, well-working team. So I think you're right.
Yes.
It's so amazing.
But everybody's back together.
Everyone's back together.
Yay.
Ah, the team is back.
To be continued.
To be continued. Episode 324. Wanted posters make it around the world. Celebration in their hometowns as the ship moves forward. Furl the sails! Go!
Furl the sails.
Yes. So, Garp is, like, continuing all his attacks, and now, like, Luffy and the crew, like, they're like, what are we gonna do? And Franky is like, I got something for you. Furl those sails, which means, you know, pull the sails up. Usually you do that when you're about to stop and, like, anchor the ship, but it also is, like, what you do when you're about to move the ship way faster than the wind is blowing.
Ah.
So to Garp, he's like, oh, well, like, you know, are you giving up?
Yes.
No. Franky is like, oh, yeah, let's do it. But then he says, wait, but before we can go, we gotta name the ship.
Yes.
This is its maiden voyage. It needs a name.
Needs a name. And Luffy has the worst name.
Oh, he's the worst.
He has the worst name.
Oh, man.
They're like, well, it's a lion. It's got to have lion in it, right?
Right.
And then he goes like, well, what about lion, tiger?
It, like, just names a bunch of terrible, like, just animals and stuff.
And they're like, no. Okay, but how about squid, octopus, chimpanzee?
Oh, my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Luffy, no.
Not good names at all.
It's all really bad. So I think everyone kind of has their own terrible idea of a name.
They really do.
They
like,
really
everybody says their suggestions, and they're all terrible.
But luckily, Franky, you know, tells them about when Iceberg was looking at the ship. Because everyone's looking at the, I think it's called the masthead of it, which is, Franky was like, yeah, I was going for a lion. Mm-hmm. But as we saw in previous episode, like, Robin had said, thought it was a flower or something. And he's like, no, it's a lion. It's very stylized. So then Iceberg is like, yes, it looks like a sun that's going to shine over all the thousands of seas that they're going to cross on their journey. And bright shining sun.
Yes.
And even though it's supposed to be a lion.
Yeah, but he does like this whole speech about it.
It's
right?
a beautiful
He's like,
speech. It's
and
wonderful.
How are you gonna say no?
How
then?
can you? Yeah. So of course, as soon as everyone else hears that, they're like, "Oh yeah, let's call it the Thousand Sunny."
Yes, a ship as bright as the sun.
It's
Thousand
so cute.
Sunny. It's a cute name.
It really is.
And then Luffy hears it and he loves it. He's like, yeah, the Thousand Sunny. And then Franky goes like, wait, that was just a preface. I have a name for it.
It's like,
and it was a terrible name too.
something like the Franky something rather, and you're just like, no.
Yeah. And everybody had their own version. Like, I think Dark Creature, Robin says. And Sanji says Monsieur Sunflower.
Yeah, yeah, which is cute, but
that's not a pirate ship.
So they've given this ship a name finally, and Franky is like, okay, we're about to go, like, get ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so Luffy stands on the railing of the ship and he shouts back to his grandpa and says goodbye, bye to everyone, bye Monster Granny on the shore, like Kokoro and everyone. They're like, I have no idea what he says, I can't hear him. And Garp pulls out a giant, huge ball and chain.
Yeah.
That thing is like bigger than their own Navy ship.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Where was it?
Where was it? In his magical pockets? Like, what even? But he's getting ready to chuck this thing at the Thousand Sunny, and that's when Franky's like, all right, and he does some magic. You see some barrels pumping.
Yeah,
and
everybody's just waiting for him, like, come on, we're ready,
let's go.
And he's just like, they're waiting for it to be ready.
Just waiting. And finally we see it, the coup de burst.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
It's great. It's so cool.
Right?
It is so cool. It makes
and the ship
Sunny
goes flying. Yeah.
Makes the Sunny fly in a good way. Like, not in a, oh my God, we're going to die way.
Yeah. Right.
In a, this is a planned landing way.
Right. It can apparently fly for 1 kilometer.
1 kilometer
in the
or
air.
something like that. Mm-hmm.
And it even surprises Garp and like the Marines. They're just like, whoa, we've never, they don't really see something like that all the time.
And Kobe's like, oh my God, that's so cool. So we say bye to Water 7.
We do.
That was a good wrap up to that visit.
It really was. I think that was a really awesome farewell. We know at this point they're just kind of moving on, and we see how the wanted posters that they got have spread around the world.
Yes.
We appear to see a bunch of different villages and things like that.
We see
Smoker.
We see Smoker, exactly. We see Smoker and Tashigi. We see the cooks at the Baratier, which are laughing their asses off.
At Sanji's face.
When they saw Sanji's face. And they put it up on the wall and they're telling everybody, like, hey, you know who that is?
Yeah, that's
which I find him. Super funny.
And he looks just like that.
Yeah.
And then we're in Fuchsia Village, which everyone, that's like where Luffy's from, and like all of them are raising glasses to him. And like the mayor is like mad at Garp for bringing Luffy to their village because now their village has a wanted pirate.
And we also see Kaya.
That was really cute.
Yes. And Usopp's poster actually says Soka King, not Usopp.
Right.
But they know it's
They
him.
can tell.
Yeah, the little kids are like, that's Usopp, right? Like the nose. And
which makes it all the more funny that Luffy never figured it out.
Yeah. That is true.
I don't think he knows. I think he still hasn't figured it out that that's Soka King. So yeah, we see Shimotsuki Village in East Blue. That's where Zoro is from, and like his master Koshiro was like telling all the kids, like, don't look up to Zoro. That's not a role model. Yeah. I did not train him to be a pirate. And they're like, oh, we're all gonna be pirates.
We see Kokoyashi Village too.
Oh my God, where Genzo's has put Nami's picture, blown it up.
Oh my God.
A huge picture. I was like, what are you doing?
He's super offended, quote unquote, about the picture, but then he goes ahead and makes it very big.
Right. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, come on. And we go over to Sakura Kingdom where we see Dr. Kuroha, and she like finally gets to see Chopper's face. Like because he hasn't been in the papers really. Right. Since he's left, she hasn't gotten to see him. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really sweet.
Yes, and they're like, Dalton is now the king of the kingdom, and Dr. Kuroha actually offers him a room at the castle. Ooh, a room. Ooh. I thought he was gonna offer the castle since he's the king. But still, he says, like, no, I'm good. I'll stay in the village.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how the 50 berries must be a mistake.
Right, clearly it's, well, do you think it's got to be more or less? You know, like,
I think they maybe thought that it was a printing error.
yeah,
you know,
it should have
missed
been
a couple
few
zeros there.
yeah. You know, with the wanted posters and the numbering, I kind of wonder if he's basing it off of like Japanese currency, which when you read it, it seems like it has more zeros. Like 100 yen is $1. Around about, you know, with the currency exchange. So you see the number 100, but really means 1. So if you're looking at 50, are we actually looking at 0.5?
Maybe
50 cents? 50 cents?
Oh no, Chopper. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But either way, I love it. And yeah, we get a peek at Vivi in Alabasta. Everyone's freaking out like, oh my gosh, how come an all Sunday Robin is joining their crew? Like, what the heck? And then Vivi's like, I already knew. It's cool.
I already knew. And she's like, I trust Luffy's judgment.
Yeah.
So it should be fine. We see Dragon, Luffy's dad.
Yes. So we're over at this island, and then there's this really cool moment where we see Monkey D. Dragon, and he sees the wanted poster, and he's like, oh, what's this about? And so Dragon just walks outside, super cool, like on this cliff, the sunset, and he says this really beautiful line, which in the English dub, it's essentially, follow your own beliefs to the end, Luffy. With a will such as yours and a little luck, the masses may learn to question this world after all. Ride the winds of change, my son.
Ooh.
So
Deep.
very deep, especially like I'm interested in the choice of words here, with a will such as yours. I kind of wonder if it has to do with the will of D, if, you know, the D initial, if that plays in there, two statements, and I just think it's really cool.
Then we go back to Straw Hats after going around the world and seeing everybody's reactions to the posters. The Straw Hats are just celebrating, you know, that they've got their crew members back, finally. You know, they got Robin and Usopp back, and they got a new crew member, Franky. And yeah.
I mean, it's really cute.
Yeah, drinks all around and
drinks all
celebrate.
around. They're so excited.
On our new ship.
On their new ship.
Yes.
I did want to say, in the manga right now, I just read chapter 958. That's the most recent one that's released since, you know, recording this podcast. They released some wanted posters of some very important and powerful characters. I just want to say to those of you who are caught up with the manga, that was so intense. Like, oh my gosh, my mind is blown. Like, these numbers are impressive beyond belief. There's a lot going on right now. Like, we're seeing just a lot of exciting stuff. Roger gets some lines in the manga, and that's just all I'm gonna say. Like, it's just, all of this stuff is like starting to tie together. But yes, we see these numbers, which finally give us like a really solid glimpse of just how strong people are in this world. So it's exciting.
Ooh.
I know. Just you wait. Only a billion more arcs before you get
Only
there.
a
But
billion.
yeah,
So on to Fish Island, and that's the end of this episode. And
yeah.
of the Water 7 arc.
Bye, Water 7.
Bye. It was a great ride, though.
It was.
Don't forget you can watch all One Piece anime episodes on Funimation.com/OnePiece or the Funimation Now app. And be sure to check us out on social at One Piece Official on Facebook and One Piece Anime on Twitter, especially around our 20th anniversary when we'll be sharing special content and news that you don't want to miss. Episode 325, The Most Heinous Power. Blackbeard's darkness attacks Ace.
We get an episode with Ace.
We get an Ace episode.
I am so excited, but also, actually, I'll be honest, when I had to watch this episode, you know, for the podcast, before starting it, I actually started getting sick to my stomach.
Oh, no.
With the anxiety.
Really? Oh, man.
I find this episode upsetting.
Upsetting.
Yes. We'll chalk it up to, you know, I don't want to see Ace getting hurt. No one does. No one does. So
no one does. The Straw Hats are on their way to Fish Island, and we get to see Ace and see, you know, what happens right now.
So about a few days before the wanted posters go out everywhere, Blackbeard, he is on Banera Island, which is close to Water 7. So a newspaper goes around saying, about Enies Lobby and Luffy and the ruckus they've caused. Like, we see Blackbeard here, and suddenly he has this crew with him of these, like, who are these guys? What's going on? But they're like, oh, well, if we see Luffy, then I guess we should kill him or take him in or something. We kind of figure out, what they're trying to do a little bit later. But essentially, as they're saying that, like, up on a rooftop, there's Ace. And, like, pay attention in this, like, episode to the lighting. The use of lighting, like when they first show Ace, it's like glowing sunshine behind him, and we know this whole thing is about to get into big battle of light versus dark.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool how they did that. Oh my God, Ace! There he is.
Yeah.
So Blackbeard sees him and is like, "Oh, Commander Ace, like, what are you doing here?" kind of thing. And Ace is like, "Don't call me that."
Nah.
Like, no.
No, you must surely know why I'm here. I think he's us. So
yes,
that's and we see Teach sort of like change his face. He's like, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
straight to the point then."
yeah. Basically, like, let's just cut to the chase, whatever.
Ace tells him, like, "You know what you did." So
right, but we don't quite know.
Yeah,
exactly yet. Do we?
Yes, we did. When Shanks and Whitebeard talk before this,
that's right.
They say the reason why Ace is looking for Blackbeard, which is because he killed a crew member.
That's
so
right.
now he wants to kill him.
So
or Whitebeard sent him, something like that.
Yeah, Whitebeard sent him to avenge a death, basically. So Blackbeard is like, okay, well, Ace, before we get into this, why don't you just join my crew?
Right.
I want to become the king of the pirates. And he says, like, I'm actually on my way to go kill Monkey D. Luffy, like, to offer him, or at least capture him something, to offer him to the world government, because that'll make me more powerful if I do that. And when he says that, Ace is like, what? No. Like, you sack of crap. Like, I'm not going to go help you kill my little brother.
Right.
Like, and clearly Blackbeard had no idea.
Clearly.
Of the relation. But yeah, that was just so funny. I was like, dude, you just dug yourself in a deeper hole.
Yeah, for sure.
And Ace even says, like, you can take that offer and shove it up your, and then he gets shot, which this is where we get to see how his fire powers work, how he uses them to basically avoid getting hit by things. Just a little glimpse to remind you of how Logia fruit powers work.
And then, so Ace attacks him back, and Blackbeard starts sort of explaining himself about why he did what he did to their crewmate.
So they start fighting, and in this fight, we see a number of cool things, like how Ace can basically take the fire that he puts on buildings, like he can take that away when he touches them. Did you catch that?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like that control of Logia fruit is like really like that's
and
high
he can
level.
Sort of move it.
Yeah,
however he wants.
Yeah, he has like really good control of his powers. And Ace is like he's barely older than Luffy. Like it's just impressive like how good he is. And then like they portray him like he's glowing white as he's approaching Blackbeard, and you think like, oh man, yeah, Ace has got this down. While that's happening and everyone's running away, like all the citizens are running out of the town, Blackbeard explains kind of why he did what he did.
Yeah, he basically says that he killed this person because he had devil fruit that he wanted. Like, he had studied, like, all the known devil fruits and had decided that this was the best power that he could get from one, and that's the power he wanted.
Yep.
And
the rule on the Whitebeard Pirates crew is that if you find a devil's fruit, you get to eat it. So Thatch was the guy who found it, who was about to eat it, and Blackbeard killed him.
ate the fruit.
Ate the
himself.
fruit and got the powers.
And then we see his power, and it's basically darkness.
It is darkness.
Yeah.
And also when he describes it, he's like, darkness is gravity, because even light can't escape.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like this black hole sort of thing going on. But it's called the dark fruit. And he calls himself the Darkness Man.
Darkness Man.
Darkness Man. Ooh, so spoopy. But it's basically known as like the most dangerous fruit in the world. And so he starts using this darkness to spread through the town, and it's kind of creeping around, and everyone's running away, terrified. And it's this black hole, and he just kind of starts sucking in the town all around
like
Ace.
all of it.
He doesn't get Ace at first,
Yeah.
and Ace is just like, "What are you doing? Like, this ain't touching me. Like, what, And he's like, if you thought that was bad, watch what happens when I bring it back out. And so he launches the town back out through the whole liberation or whatever, and he kind of rejects it. And then it just, like, all these bits and pieces of buildings just come scattered out there. And it's horrifying.
It is. He basically destroyed the whole town in, like,
an instant.
Kinston, yeah.
But Ace, of course, is so calm during this whole thing. He's just so impressively calm and like I don't know, like how even. But yeah, and Blackbeard is so full of himself, and then all of a sudden, like you see these little like firefly lights come up, and like I thought that was so pretty. I forgot he had that move. Oh,
it was very pretty.
It was a very pretty move, and the fireflies light up and essentially explode on him, and like we see that Ace is like fighting him really well.
And also then, because Teach can't turn into an element as other Logia types can, is what he explains.
Right.
So he's got that weakness, quote unquote.
Right. Because
compared to others.
Right. We hear him going like, "Oh, hot, 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 hot." Like he's really like sensitive to the heat and all the things that Ace is throwing at him. And even Ace is questioning like, "I get your power, but like, how come you can't dodge it? Or how come you can't use your Logia powers to just avoid getting hit?" And he was saying it's because he absorbs everything, including pain and weapons and things that hit him. So he can't avoid that. But yeah, the trade-off.
Exactly.
But then he shows off like the worst part about his powers. And he leaps at Ace. He's saying like, "Okay, I suck you in with my gravity. I pull you towards me, and then I grab you." And like Ace, you see his face. He's just like, "Wait, what the hell?" Because he should be able to kind of use his fire to like get away, and like normally hand would just go through him. But you learn that actually Blackbeard can suck away Devil's Fruit powers with his incredible gravitational pull or whatever it is, the darkness, and take those powers away.
Yes. So basically when he touched Ace, he lost his invincibility, if that's how we can call it.
Yeah.
And so he's able to attack him like physically and hurt him.
Yeah.
So yeah, they keep fighting, and now we see that Ace is struggling a little bit now.
Yes.
Because
tides are turning.
Yes.
Just so sad. I hate it. I hate it so much. At that moment when like Blackbeard puts his hand on Ace's shoulder, I just like scream out. I'm like, "Unhand him!"
Right now, sir.
Right now, sir. Don't touch Ace. But yeah, there's little we can do but just witness what happens next. Because basically, like, Blackbeard once again just asks Ace to, like, "Are you sure you don't want to join my crew?" And Ace has a cool line where he's like, "If I surrender to you, I can never call myself a man again. I won't submit. I won't live with regrets." This is very much, like, key to Ace. Like, he refuses to give up his freedom and, you know, what he believes in and who he is. But, again, this fight just keeps piling up and piling up. And I can't even. So
they just keep fighting. And we sort of see, like you said before, like we see this whole light versus darkness theme in here, where Teach is kind of trying to bring Ace over to the dark side and telling him like once you're dead, your morals are useless.
Yeah.
Basically. So like, why don't you just join me? Like,
would
you die for this?
Yeah, a very like intense and villainous way to view the world.
But Ace is not having it.
No, of course not. And he is, he has this cool move where he has this like great flame commandment and then flame ember kind of thing. And you almost see like a beast inside of his like flames. At least
I didn't notice that.
I thought I saw that in there. Who knows?
I just love that it's like a giant...
Just a giant sun.
Sun, yeah.
And I think they even say a line like that, like about how it's, you know, he's the sun, but it's sun versus darkness at this point. And Ace just brings this giant sun down on Blackbeard, who also counters with this huge black hole.
Yes.
Sun versus black hole, like, that's intense. That is universally intense. And Ace leaves us one last line about how he'll make Whitebeard the king or die trying.
And his hat fell off.
And then his hat, and the symbolism is terrifying.
I know. We just see these big two powers from afar
just
clash. Yeah. Yeah, and then we get just like the hat,
and that's it.
We get to see the hat on the floor, and then the narrator says the most cryptic line that I've heard in this whole binge, which is, "The duel at Bonero Island was a catalyst, the beginning of a chain of events that would change the world." And that's where it ends.
It ends. That's it. That's it.
I don't know what happened. Is Ace dead? That's what they want me to believe. That's what I believe. I'm gonna cry right now.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless because I can't say anything. One, without like wanting to cry, and two, like I don't want to like spoil anything at all. But the interesting thing though is like all of this, our whole 20th anniversary binge kind of thing, like this whole, like, 325 episodes, we end it with the narrator telling us this is just the beginning.
The beginning! Yeah. What am I supposed to do now, John?
What now? What now? The answer is watch more One Piece.
Well, definitely.
Yeah, you can't stop here. There is no stopping here.
No.
But for us, for this podcast, I'd say I think we've come to a really great place.
Yes, it is a great moment to end this
gonna cry,
podcast
Jocelyn.
season with.
Oh my gosh, my feelings.
It's the end of this podcast season.
I know, Jocelyn, this is it.
I know. We did it, though.
We did
it. We really, really hope you enjoyed our first season of One Piece at a Time. We had a great time on this journey with y'all. So we just want to thank you for all your support, your comments, and all the love we got from you online and in person. We're working on getting more One Piece at a Time to you soon. So stay tuned to the One Piece channels on Facebook at One Piece Official and on Twitter at One Piece Anime. We want to thank the people who made this podcast happen, the creator of One Piece, Oda Sensei, Toei Animation, the audio engineers, and of course, everyone joining us on this journey, all you Straw Hats out there listening. Please rate this podcast, share it with other One Piece Nakama. Be sure to keep watching One Piece subbed and dubbed on Funimation.com and the Funimation Now app. And before we close out the season, One Piece at a Time will have a special episode celebrating the 20th anniversary of the One Piece anime, so be on the lookout. See ya.
Bye.
Yay!
We did it.